piece of music. All right. Welcome. Thank you everyone for coming. We will get started in 15 minutes with our actual lesson. But first, I just want to say thanks for being here. We're going to be having a fun advanced lesson, and we're going to be learning about the topic 다가는, which is very different than 다가, as well as different than 해다가, which is for another time. For this lesson, these are the prerequisites, and I'm telling you them right now because if you haven't learned them, you have time to go learn them before we start the lesson today. However, I will say it's still an advanced lesson. Both of these, though, are beginner topics. 다가, like you're doing something and then something interrupts you, so you're doing something while doing something else. 다가, or 면, for if or when you do something. And this one's more of an intermediate topic. 다면. 다면 is more to show a stronger hypothetical meaning, like let's just say if. And it has the same usage as 면, different way it's conjugated though, and like I said, it's only if. So you want to make sure you at least know these before starting today if you want to be able to even follow along, no matter what your level is. If you know these, you might be able to follow along with the lesson. If you want to be able to participate and make sentences and fully understand the topic, you're going to have to be at least a mid or high intermediate learner. Otherwise, I think this is just going to go right over your heads. But yeah, you still have time though. You have about 13 minutes to learn this. I have videos about these, and I think you could probably learn these in about 13 minutes if you did it really quick. Okay, some announcements to make. But first, let me just see who's here. Let's see who is first. First person to come here. Doesn't show the name. Oh, wait, here it is. Someone named, it's blocked. I can't see it on my screen. Was that Bella, it looks like. Hey, welcome. Cheryl, Lauren, Joe Turner, Timmy Turner. Hey, Arlie, my mod Arlie, welcome. As well as Small. Let's see who else is here. Let's see. Okay. All right, that's all the members that we have here. Right now, we'll be getting a few more coming in soon once we actually get started. Oh, and hey, Nika, also my other mod, Nika. I have a few announcements. The first of which is I have some new merchandise. So as you know, all of these live streams are completely free. You do not have to pay 1 cent to watch these live streams, as well as the abridged versions. Those are also completely free. Merchandise is just a way if you have money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to support me. This is just one more way you can do it. So I added a few extra designs last night, actually. My wife helped me to design one of them. So that's the one that I pinned on the chat. And anyway, that's just one other way you can support me. Other announcements I have is, as usual, there is a worksheet for today's live stream already up on Patreon. So if you are a Patreon supporter, now this one does cost money. I believe it's $1 a month. You can get access to all of my worksheets as well as all of the outlines for the live streams. All of them since day one. Well, if I had one, it's there. And you can get those right now on Patreon. As well as if you are a Patreon level at higher levels, you also get access to other things like my personal Anki deck for studying. You get access to watching the PDFs for the Learn Korean series early, as well as the top tier gets to watch my video uploads in advance, about a week or so in advance. So that's just one other way you can support me. Another announcement is I do have a very active Discord server, which is open 24/7. It's also completely free, and you can use it to interact with other people who are learning Korean. You can ask Korean questions, and a lot of people do, as well as just share K-pop memes or share videos with each other. So there's a link to that in the video description, as well as on my channel, as well as in the chat. I'll put another one here. So yeah. Feel free to join up, and it's feel free, and it's free. Okay, another announcement is if you are a member of this channel, and there are about 70 of you or so, you also get to watch these abridged versions early. So the abridged versions are free, but if you want to watch them early, a few days before they get going public, then you have to join my channel, and that is the membership button, the join button that's below here. So that's just one more way you can support. Anyway, again, nothing on this channel costs money. It's always going to be free. These are just ways to support, to help me make more content, because obviously the stuff I'm doing costs me a lot of money. I spend money on the microphone that I'm talking to right now, this webcam, which I need to replace actually, this board, markers, everything like that, especially markers. I think I probably could put the Expo CEO kids through college by how many of these markers I've gone through already. All right, that's all the announcements we have today, and I've already gone over the prerequisites, so we have about 10 minutes left to just relax and chat. So feel free to ask any questions if you have them. I'm just going to read some of your comments. Is it just me, or does Billy seem quiet today? I can make myself louder. Am I quiet? Is this better? No, I'm just joking. Hold on, it's too loud. Okay. I don't know, maybe like that. I don't want to make it too loud though, because then you're not gonna be able to hear me very well. I'll do this. We'll try this. Yes, your wife did an excellent design. Nice. You're gonna put my kid through college by purchasing my merchandise. Yes. No, I wish I don't get that much money for the merchandise. It's just kind of a fun. I do get some of it, but it's just kind of a fun way to promote my brand, I guess. My brand. Okay. And if you are wearing, if I ever go to Korea and I see someone wearing my merchandise, oh, I'm gonna stop you and ask for a picture. That would be cool. Yes, welcome everyone. I see there are some new people here today. Welcome, welcome. If you are new, we will start at 2 o'clock, so there's still 8 minutes left. How long did it take for you to get good pronunciation? Define good. If you mean like people understand me, that doesn't take very long. You can be understood with poor pronunciation. If you mean where people would, I guess I shouldn't really say that. I can talk about that later. If you mean where I felt like I was doing a good job, maybe about, I don't know, a year or so. But the thing is, once you start speaking Korean at any level, you're going to hear compliments that sound something like this. 와, 한국말 잘하시네요. 와, 한국 사람인 줄 알았어요. 한국 사람인 줄 알았어요. Like I thought you were Korean. Your Korean's so good. Wow. Like you'll get those sorts of compliments when you've only been studying for a few weeks or a few months. And they're not insincere. They do mean them. It's just because Koreans aren't so used to hearing people who aren't Korean speaking their language. So when they see someone who's learning who starts speaking, it just surprises them. They're really shocked. I actually made a comedy video about that. I just finished it and I'll upload it in a while. You'll see that a little later. I made a video actually about that very thing. But yeah, you can't really take it to heart though, because obviously you don't sound like a native Korean, but they are very surprised. But as far as just good pronunciation, I'd say probably a year when I thought like, okay, I think I'm saying things mostly correct. Billy asking me for a picture. Yes, I'll say this, if you are wearing one of my merchandise in Korea in like a tourist area and I spot you, if I'm there, if I see you before you see me, I'm going to be like, can I take a picture with you? I'll put it on my Instagram. Let's see. How is Jeremy's bilingual language journey going? It's going good. I'm actually going to make an update video about that maybe after at least another year and a half. I'll make an update because it changes every year. The way that kids are learning changes a bit, and the way that they behave also. Like when kids start reaching around 4 or 5-ish, they start to realize like, hey, I don't need to speak whatever other language my parents speak because everyone at school speaks English, or vice versa if you're in Korea. So I'm aware of that. I know that stuff is going to happen. So we're still preparing for that, but I want to make a video after the fact, after we've done some more stuff. That way I can be like, look, it worked, instead of here's what I'm doing and I hope it'll keep working. So far though, what we're doing is working. He still speaks both English and Korean. He's actually watching a Korean movie right now in my bedroom. While I'm doing this live stream. He needs to be distracted so he doesn't make too much noise while I'm trying to teach. But yeah, he's watching I think it's a Bororo movie, came out like a few years ago. I think he's watching that on our TV right now or something like that. Yeah, so it's going good. But I can't say it's done yet. We're still working on it. Korean has become so popular to learn. Relatively, that's a new thing. It's very new that Korean is getting popular to learn. It hasn't been that way, and it's still not as much as it is in other countries with other languages. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it is kind of a new thing where Korean is getting more popular to learn. I'd say from 2017, really, there was a big boom. 2017, 2018. That's when, of course, when BTS started getting popular. That, I think, was the biggest boom for people getting interested in learning Korean. Before that, it was a little bit slower. But yeah, I remember in 2009, also there was a small boom when Wonder Girls, after Wonder Girls, the Girls' Generation started getting kind of popular. And then again, another kind of bump with Gangnam Style in 2011, I believe, or 2012. Yeah, 2012. And then another bump with Twice in like 2015, and then another bump 2016 with 17 with BTS. So yeah, it's getting up there. Maybe we'll see another, maybe it'll, spike a little bit more if there's some new group, or maybe BTS does something else really big. Another welcome to new people. I see some more people coming in. We'll get started right in 3 minutes at 2 o'clock. BTS really inspired a lot of people to learn the language. I think more than that, I think more than they inspired people to learn the language, I think they let people know that the language existed. I think that's also a lot of it too. Like a lot of people, including myself, until I was in college, I didn't really know the difference between North and South Korea when I was in starting college. Like you learn about it in school, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. So I knew that it was a country. I figured they spoke Korean there, but it's not really on your radar. Kind of like, oh yeah, it's just a country. Yeah, that's another country. But now because of these more popular groups, you realize like, wow, there's an entertainment scene in this country. I didn't know about that. Oh, hey, it's not bad. That's kind of, I think what it is that now people are realizing that there's stuff in Korea, whereas they maybe just thought before that it's just another country in Asia somewhere. Now you're like, oh, there's music in Korea. What else? Oh, there's food. Oh, I didn't know this. They have dramas. Oh, I didn't even know those are all Korean dramas. It's kind of like this realization that it's a country, that it exists. So it's more of like an awareness, I think, that it's spreading about Korea. Not just that people are being inspired by BTS only, but it's BTS introduces them, gives them their first taste of Korea. And then when they start searching, you just do a simple Google search, you realize there's so much stuff out there. And then you see like, oh, wow. Oh, I'm interested. I want to learn Korean like that. Because their fans aren't learning, BTS fans aren't learning Korean to marry BTS members. I don't know if that's a wake-up call to anyone. I hope not. They're not learning it because they hope someday they're going to marry a BTS member or hang out with a BTS member. No, BTS got them introduced to it, but ultimately they have their own reasons. People have their own reasons why they want to learn Korean. They say, oh, maybe I want to go to Korea and watch some concerts live of BTS. Cool. I want to be able to talk with my friends and understand what they're saying is maybe the most common goal that I hear. Not, I want to marry a BTS member. That's not such a common goal. At least people aren't telling me that that's their goal so much. So, okay, welcome. Yeah, we'll get started in just a minute. I know a lot of girls who are learning Korean and very few guys. You would think that, but actually, it's not quite the case. There are more girls learning Korean than guys, but I think that's the same for any language. You could also say this: there are more guys playing sports in school than there are girls. Does that really mean anything? No, it's just because that's the different. They tend to spend their time learning languages a little bit more than guys worldwide, I guess. No, there are lots of guys learning Korean too. And on my channel too, I can see the demographics of what percentage of people are learning. Let me see if I can look at those right now live, because it changes. When I first started my YouTube channel, it was actually kind of funny. This was back in 2012 when I first started my YouTube channel. And for the first year, I would always check my demographics. And I actually had over 60% males watching my channel and 40% females, believe it or not. So that's prior to the K-pop boom. There were actually at that time more guys than girls learning Korean, at least who subscribed to me. I'm sure that wasn't the case on larger YouTube channels. Perhaps Talk to Me in Korean had a different story. That was just on mine. I don't know. Maybe guys liked me more than girls. I don't know. Let me see my analytics. See if I can check here. Let's see. Audience. Demographics. Let's see. Other channels your audience watches. Oh, Talk to Me in Korean. Go figure. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Age and gender. For the last 30 days, I've had almost 70% female and 30% male. That's even higher difference than it was just a couple years ago. I checked this a couple years ago and it was about, 3 years ago, and it was about 50-50. 50-50 for boy and girl. And then I checked it again a year after that. So this would have been like maybe 2018. I checked again and it was 60% girls to 40% guys. And now it looks like 70% girls to 30% guys. It could be explained by more female BTS fans than male BTS fans. But I don't think you could say though that there are more necessarily guys are less interested in learning Korean. I know tons of guys interested in learning Korean, and they're just as active and interested in learning Korean as girls are. It's just an interesting statistic. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else interesting I can see. Okay, geographies. Oh, I haven't looked at this in a long time. 21% of you are in the United States, and 18.5% of you are in the Philippines. When did this happen? I got a lot of Filipinos watching my channel. Okay, maybe I should start. Teaching in Tagalog. I don't know. What do you guys think? Go Billy Tagalog. Yes or no? Yay or nay? Okay, let's get started with the lesson. Sorry, I always waste time for like the first 10 minutes before 2 o'clock just talking about random stuff. And I guess today's time waster is my YouTube analytics. Okay, so today we're going to be learning the grammar form 다가는. Let's first learn how to make it. You take a verb stem. Notice I didn't say action verb. You might already notice a difference now between this and the other 다가 form that we learned. This can be any verb. And you attach 다가는. And it's very complicated because after this step, you're actually done. That's all there is to it. In speech, you might also hear, instead of 다가는, you might hear 다간. And in fact, I think this is probably more common in speech. 뭐 하다간? Yeah, it's the same thing. 다가는. So if we take an example, if we take the verb 하다, to do. 하다, the verb stem is 하. 하, 다가는. Or spoken, you can also say 하다간, and you're done. Then you finish the rest of the sentence. You know, this is so basic. I'm just going to erase it. Hopefully you wrote it down. I'm not done explaining it though. Okay. I do need to say something though. 다가는 is not the same at all as 다가. Now, the original form that both of these came from is the same. The literal meaning of these forms is the exact same, plus the topic marker, 는. So it should be related. You do something and then something interrupts you, so you don't finish it. So it's kind of like saying, while doing something, something else happens. Yes and no. The literal meaning is the same, but the usage of these is very different. 다가, again, shows that an action interrupts another action while it's happening and before that action completes. So you could say like, while I was going to school, I got a phone call. By that it means 학교를 가다가. So I'm going to school and then something stops me from doing that. So I'm not at school now. Now I'm going to school though, and something interrupts me from going to school. What is it? Well, I got a phone call. 전화가 왔어요. 학교를 가다가 전화가 왔어요. Of course, would be I got a phone call while going to school in English, but literally it's just, I got a phone call and then literally it's just, I was walking to school and right then, I couldn't get to school, I'm not there yet, but right then something interrupted me. So, now I stopped. What happened? I got a phone call. This literally means the same thing, but it's not used the same way. Also, when you're saying taga, both actions can have to be done by the same person. You can't have one action that's done by a separate person. So you can't say, while I was walking to school, 철수 did his homework. 학교를 가다가 철수가 or whatever, 숙제를 하고 있었어요. It doesn't make any sense. While I was walking to school, I got interrupted by 철수's doing his homework. It doesn't make any sense. You have to use the same subject when you're using this one. And I explain all of this in the live stream that I did about taga, so I recommend watching that if this doesn't sound familiar to you. You should be really familiar with this form before going into today's lesson. Okay, so back to taga는. taga는 is used to, actually, I think I should rearrange my lesson really quick. Okay, I'm just going to move this. Hold on. When I upload the lesson, I do like a couple changes. I'm going to move something so it's a little clearer. Okay, what taga는 does is it expresses your opinion. So the speaker's opinion that something negative is going to happen. By negative, I mean bad. Only if this action, whatever the verb is, it could be an action or a description, if that continues. So it's taga는, once more, taga는 is used for expressing your opinion, the speaker's opinion, that something negative is going to happen if this verb, whatever it is, action verb or descriptive verb, if it continues, then something's going to happen. So by that, it's used to warn someone. This is the key word about this form, a warning. When you're using this form, what you're actually doing is giving a warning to whoever you're speaking with. You're saying that if you keep doing something, if something continues, or if things stay that way, if that description continues, then something bad's going to happen. If you keep doing that, you're going to get a heart attack. If you keep being busy all day, you're going to have a burnout. That sort of thing. So it's used for warning. And if you only get one thing out of this entire form when you're taking your notes, I would write down that this form is used for warning someone, like, hey, if you keep doing something, if that keeps happening, if something continues in a certain state. So if some sort of situation continues, or if you keep doing something, then something bad's going to happen. That's the heart of this form. Let's take a look at how this form then literally means this, because remember, we're in an advanced stream right now, so I'm assuming you guys know the original form again. So taga, so interrupted action. Literally, taga means something happens immediately after something else, thus interrupting it. Like you're doing something, but before it finishes, something happens right then. So you haven't actually finished it. If you say 하다가는, it's emphasizing like while you're doing that, something's going to cut you off. Something's going to stop you and interrupt you. That's the literal meaning of this form. This is just a fun explanation. You don't need to know that in order to use this form or understand this form. But for fun, this form literally does have the same meaning as taga. But 는, the topic marker, is here to use to emphasize it. Like as for, so while you're doing that sort of meaning, so if you're going to be, let me find an example here. If you keep eating caramel every day, well then you're not going to be able to finish eating that caramel. Something's going to cut you off. So while you're eating that caramel, what's going to happen is your teeth are going to be rotten. Your teeth are going to rot. Something like that. So literally it does have the same meaning as taga, but you don't need to think of it like that. I think when you hear this 는, think about a warning. So 하다가는, so if you keep doing something, something bad is going to happen. And there are a few restrictions on how you can and can't use this form. So let's talk about those. How you guys doing? I know this is an advanced lesson, but someone talking about charsu in the chat. Is Small talking about charsu? We don't talk about him here. Okay. This form though has some restrictions. One of them is you're not going to end the sentence with past tense. You're only going to end the sentence with something present tense or future tense. So if you were to say 하다, 하다가는 something 했어요, that would be wrong. The reason is you're warning someone. If you keep doing something, you died. Like that's from like some bad translation of like a 1990s Super Nintendo game or something. If you keep doing something, this happens. Okay. If you keep doing something, this will happen. Okay. If you keep doing something, something happened. Doesn't make any sense. So you have to make sure, and this should naturally happen anyway. You're probably not going to do this. I just want to make sure it's clear that you don't try to end the sentence with past tense because it doesn't make any sense. While I am going to school, literally, let's look at this literally why it doesn't make sense. So while I am going to, actually, let's do this. So you're eating caramel every single day. While you're eating caramel every single day, you died. No, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, don't use this with past tense. There's one more restriction. Actually, I shouldn't say this as a restriction. This form, we'll talk about this. Okay, actually, sorry, I talked about this in a second. Okay, next thing you need to know. If you're going to be using this with present tense or future tense, here are some common endings that you'll see after this form. You'll see the future koshida ending. Someone will do something. You'll also see the future tende ending. I have another lesson about that if you don't know that. You'll also see the present tense, 지도 모르다. For example, 할지도 몰라요 with 하다. So it's something might happen in that sort of sense. Or 것 같다. I think something will happen, or I think something happens, like that. There are a few others, but these are going to be the most common ones that you'll see used after this form. You want to say something like, hey, if you keep doing that, then this will happen. Or, hey, you should be careful because it's going to happen. Or, it might happen. Or, I think it'll happen. In that sort of sense. So these are common endings that you'll see after this form. You don't have to use these ones. They just tend to be the most commonly ones that get used. Commonly, that's not a word. You don't have to use these, but they tend to be the most commonly used endings. Commonly is a word. Wait, I felt like when I said it strange. Maybe I'll have to watch the video later to see what I said. Okay, so I want to ask you guys something. So we learned that this form means if, right? Okay, I'm going to switch pens for a second. I don't like this pen. I think I need a new blue one already. I want to ask you guys a question. I want you guys to put on your Billy teacher hats for a second. If someone comes up to you and they say, hey, can you tell me, I have a Korean question. You're an advanced learner. Can you tell me what's the difference between these forms? What's the difference between these two forms? Now, I will give you guys the correct answer in a second. I want you guys to answer this. What would you think is the difference between these two forms? If you keep doing something, something will happen. If you do something, something will happen. What do you think could be the difference? Just based on what I've explained so far. Because these are not the same. Now, I told you that if, this one can mean if, and 면 is also if. Although 면 can also be when. But just ignore that. Just ignore the fact that it can be when. And think, if you're using 면 to mean if, and if you're using 다가는, then what's the difference? So like I said, ignore the when meaning for right now for this question. Because obviously myeon can also translate as when, like when you have time in that sort of sense. But it can also just mean if you have time. So I want to see what you guys... Live chat 보다가는 집중 못할 것 같다. Okay, that's good. It's a good sentence. Small, you are like right on the money. You are right on the money. Just expand on that a little bit more, Small. Just read here. Okay, 보라. First one, you are actually doing it. Second one, just in case you do it. That's good too. Yeah, that's a good part of it. Small also had it there. 다가는 is a warning. Okay, that's another point. I mentioned that. 면 is if. 다가 is could be. No, not quite. 다가 would not be could be. It's not about interruption. I'm just curious what you guys can guess about it. First one emphasizes a negative. That's true. Negative. It is. That is another correct answer. No, you guys have kind of already got it. There's a little bit more that you're missing, but you guys have 90% gotten it. It's a warning. And hypothetical is the difference. Yeah, more hypothetical. That's right. Sophie Peters, also you got it. You use 다가는 knowing the person is going to do it. Close, very close. Not going to do it, but is doing it. Yeah, small. That's the part you were missing. Something someone is actually already doing. Okay, yeah. Between everyone's answers, you've gotten it. Between everyone, if we take parts of everyone's answers, put them together, you've got exactly the difference. So, let's look at these two forms then. How are they different? First of all, I'll say they're not the same. And the same goes with 다면, if you're using the strong if. So, this form if is purely hypothetical. Hypothetical, that means it hasn't happened. It's not. But if it does, if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to get rotten. Yeah, hypothetical. You're not eating caramel though right now, or you're not assuming they're eating caramel right now. So you're not assuming they're already doing it, but you're saying, hey, if you do it, or maybe if you keep doing it. Now, I'm not saying you will, but hypothetically, let's just say if you keep doing it, your teeth are going to get rotten. That's perfectly fine to say, but it's hypothetical. You're saying, hey, I know you're probably not going to do this, but let's just say that. That's what this for means. Let's just say that something happens. So in that sense, it means if. 면. 다가는 is not hypothetical. It's only hypothetical for what will happen. But the action is not hypothetical. It is, you are doing that. If is only talking about if the action continues. If you keep doing that. But it's not hypothetical whether they're doing it or not. They are. You wouldn't say, hey, if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to get rotten using this form if the person isn't holding caramel to their mouth right then. Or you know that they've just recently eaten it. This would not be used for any sort of hypothetical unless it's hypothetically that they keep doing it. So you would say, hey, if you keep swimming in the ocean, you might get sick. Or I guess that's not a good example. Ocean's fine. If you keep swimming in that toxic sewage that's known as the Los Angeles wash, if you keep swimming in the LA wash, you're going to get sick. Okay? You couldn't say this unless you know that they go swimming in it. You see they're doing like kayaking in it every week. You're like, hey, if you keep playing in that water, you know, like you do already, it's not hypothetical, you do, but if you keep doing it, then you might get sick. That's what this is for. So this is more This form is more hypothetical, therefore, than this. This one is, you're doing it, but if you keep doing it, that sort of thing. And the other difference, as I said, was that taganen is used for warning. Whereas this one doesn't have to be used for warning. You can say, if you keep eating caramel, your teeth are going to get rotten, and use it as a warning. Sure, if you keep doing that, your teeth are going to have problems. That's a warning, but it doesn't have to be. You can also say, hey, if you win the lottery, share some with me. But you wouldn't use that for this. If you win the lottery, if you keep winning the lottery, you're going to have to share some with me. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, sure, like that. So yeah, these are not the same, even though they both translate to if. Okay, hopefully that's clear. And again, the easiest way to keep these separate in your mind without having to refer to these rules is just keep in mind that taganen has the feeling of giving a warning. Like, hey, if you keep doing this, something bad's going to happen. Keep that in your mind. You don't have to necessarily remember all these rules for it, but if you keep that in your head, you're not going to misuse it, at least. Okay. So, this form, like 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it's going to be used with action verbs. But you also could use it with descriptive verbs. And we'll talk about that, how that works in a bit. Other things you'll also notice about this form. These are some adverbs that you also might see used commonly with this form, taga는. 이렇게, 그렇게, 저렇게. So like this or like that. These forms are used to emphasize what's already happening. If you want to say something is serious, you want to say, hey, if you keep doing that, like this, as you are, as you have been, or like that, the way that you've been doing it, like that. These are used to emphasize that warning, to make it stronger. Like, hey, you're already doing it. If you keep going on like this, that sort of meaning. These are not necessary, but you'll often find these added to a warning. You'll often find these added to this taga는 form. 이렇게 하다가는, like if you keep going on the way that you are right now, I'm emphasizing like you're doing it. I know you're doing it, and if you keep doing it, that sort of meaning. It's just to pull more emphasis toward the action that they're doing by emphasizing that you know they're doing it right now, like this or like that, in this sort of way. So you'll see these used often, but you don't have to. Okay. Also, let me put this, let's see. Let's see if I can do. Okay. I have one example sentence of this, which I'm going to give you at the end, but I'm going to tell you the form right now. Past tense verb stem. This form, and this will look like this with the double shield at the bottom. This form can also be used with the passive tense stem. The passive tense stem of a verb. What is that? 하다. Well, the regular stem of 하다 is just ha. What's the past tense stem of 하다? 했. Now, you can't really pronounce, it's just 했. It's not used for anything other than grammar forms. So you can have 했다가는, 했다가는, past tense. What would this mean? What does this mean? And then after this form, I promise we're going to do all of our example sentences. I just want to cover this because I know someone's going to ask about it before I get there. Someone's going to be like, but Billy, wait, you didn't explain how to use it with past tense verb stems. So I'm telling you this right now, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, what do you think it would mean? Any guesses? Just looking at the chat. Anyone got any guesses? Don't worry, if you guys don't know it, if you had kept doing that, nope. Nice guess. I wish it were that simple. It's not. This one is, this one's simpler than you might think. If you kept doing, nope. If you kept on doing something, nope. If you had continued to do something, nope. That's what you might think. That's what you might think. We caught them with the trick. We've given them a difficult question they can't solve. Let's see. Okay, any other guesses? Small, do you got a guess? Do you have a guess? Oh, you already guessed. If you were to keep doing that, that was wrong. Almost could have. If you had continued doing that. Oh, no, Maza. I was talking about using past tense after. Like, hadaga는 something something 했어요. Past tense is not acceptable. This is not that. This is different. This is using past tense verb stem. If that state continues, the way you're doing to have doing, no, okay. If you finished doing something, okay, no, this one's actually not intuitive, what you would think. This one, this form is actually very similar to this. 면, if. However, it's still a warning. If you keep doing if you were to do something, in that sort of sense, if you were to do something, then something negative is going to happen. If you were to. I will say something about this though. You might find this form used like this with the past tense and 하가는. It'll be in your grammar books. It will be in a video explaining this form, including my video. Right now, I'm explaining it. This is not so common. You can use it. Your sentences will be grammatically correct, and a Korean will say, yeah, sounds fine. But Koreans themselves don't use this so commonly. If you want to say, if you do something, but you're not already doing it. But if you were, let's just say if. So this form's more hypothetical. If you were to do something, then something bad might happen. If you're going to do this, just use this form. This form will be more commonly used in this sort of situation. You haven't done it. Hypothetically, if you were to do it, 뭐 그렇게 했다가는, if, let's just say you had done that, is what it means. If you had done something, but you haven't, but if you did, well then you're looking at a whole world of problems. That sort of meaning is what this has. It's less common than just using the 면, the regular 면 form for hypotheticals. So one more time, this form is not so common in actual speech, so you don't really need to use it very much. You'll see it though, you'll see it in textbooks, you might come across it once or twice in conversations. But more often, native speakers will tend to just use the regular 면 form when they want to express if you do something, and it's a hypothetical. Again, this literally means if you had done something, well then let's just say you had done something, but you haven't. But let's just say you did. That sort of meaning. Let's just say you did something, well then something bad's gonna happen. That's what it's used for. So this is used for expressing a hypothetical situation about something in the future or something, in the present, something from now that hasn't happened. So you wouldn't say this to your friend who's cramming caramels down his throat, being like, hey, if you keep eating caramels all day, this would be your friend standing in front of a box of caramels. And you're like, hey, 카라멜을 먹었다가는, let's just say you've eaten those caramels. Well then, that's the situation that you would use this in. But in that situation, it's actually more common to just say 먹으면, 면, if you do it. So yeah, that's really all you have to know about this form. So yeah, it's for a hypothetical if. Literally, if something will occur. Okay. And I have one example sentence of this, which I'll give you in a bit, but most of the time you don't need it. And truthfully, I don't really hear this form used in the past tense. So it's pretty common in the present tense though. 타간, I hear that a lot. Okay. Isn't that what I said? Nope. Not really. If you finished doing something... Oh, that was the end something now. If you're doing this, keep doing this. Nope. Okay. Oh, hey, I got a donation of... What is SEK? Oh, that's right. That's the crowns. I remember that. The crowns. And they're like... Weren't they like... 20 SEK to USD. I remember they were like not very valuable crowns. I remember that joke from last time. Thank you. Swedish krona. Krona. Do you have to say it with the rolling R? I think we do. Swedish krona. Thank you. Wait, I should write your name here. Thank you for the 20 Swedish krona. Appreciate it. Our first donation today. Nice. Okay, let's go into let's check our time, and then let's start with the example sentences for today. Okay, because we've been spending all of our time, half of our lesson today, just explaining how the form works, and I haven't given you a single example sentence. So let me give you the example sentence. Let's just check here. If you guys are confused with the past form and what to express, think about the English grammar. You'd better not do it. You had better not do it. It could, well, I mean, there's going to be weird stuff in English grammar as well. But yeah, you don't really need to think of it literally, because I think sometimes like understanding something literally can help if that's what you need. Like that was like, oh, I really needed to get this. Sure, that can help. But you don't need to understand forms literally like I explained them in order to be able to use them. You just have to be able to practice them, because it's more of at the end of the day, it's going to be a feeling that you get, not thinking about the grammar rules whenever you're speaking something, right? You're going to need to be able to feel it without having to look at your notes. So let's do our example with caramel, because I actually got this example from one of the sentences. Caramel. Okay. 매일 먹다가는. So 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는. So we have if you keep eating it. Literally, this doesn't mean keep. It doesn't have a meaning of continuing doing something inside of it. It just means eating caramel every day, something's going to interrupt this caramel frenzy, this caramel feeding frenzy that you're having. And what is it going to be? Well, I'm warning you that that's the literal meaning you get. So 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는, the keep form, like I said, is just in the translation where you add the word keep. So really, really, continuing eating everyday caramels, I guess not even continuing, just eating everyday caramels, something's going to interrupt your eating and you're not going to get to even finish all of them because you're going to die, or whatever it is that your sentence is. In this sense, 이가 다 망가질 거예요. 망가질 거예요. That's right. Okay. 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는. Oh, I got a donation. Small. I corrected myself, but I understand. That's all that's important. That's all that matters, is if you understand it. Thank you, Small. Couple dabs for your donation. Appreciate it. Okay. 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는 이가 다 망가질 거예요. So 망가지다, to be ruined. So your teeth, 다, all of them, 다 망가질 거예요. 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는 이가 다 망가질 거예요. So if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to be ruined. Literally, eating everyday caramels, interrupting action. Eating caramels every day, so I'm giving you a warning, things are not going to go according to plan. Something's going to interrupt your plans. What is it? Well, 이가 다 망가질 거예요. Your teeth are all going to be ruined. 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는 이가 다 망가질 거예요. So if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to be all ruined. I don't know if that's true. I'm sure if you ate caramel every day but brushed your teeth really well, your teeth are going to be fine. But I'm not a dentist, okay? Maybe they'll still ruin your teeth some other way. I would guess, though, if you don't leave the sugar on your teeth, there's not going to be any bacteria that can, there's not going to be anything for the bacteria to eat. So, I don't know. Okay. 카라멜을 매일 먹다가는 이가 다 망가질 거예요. So, yeah, if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to be ruined. Okay, now that we've gotten this one out of the way, let's go to another example sentence. Okay. 이렇게, remember I said that 이렇게, 그렇게, and 저렇게 get used a lot in this sort of construction. Oops. 자다가는, so sleeping. So if you keep sleeping, 이렇게, like this, the way that you're sleeping, like this, maybe you're sleeping strange. Well, who knows what 목 디스크 is? Who knows what disc? A neck disc, literally. Who knows what that is? It's a regular word in Korean. Oops, it's 생기겠어요, I think. 이렇게 자다가는, so if you keep sleeping like this, you're sleeping weird, maybe in like a broken back position, like a shrimp or something. 목 디스크가 생기겠어요. 목, neck, disc. Neck disc, literally. That's what they call cervical herniated disc, I believe. Is that right? I don't even know what that means. Neck disc. Your neck hurts. You're going to get neck problems. In English, we would just say, you're going to get neck problems. But in Korean, they'll be like, oh, I believe you're going to get a cervical herniated disc if you keep sleeping like this. I think that's what they say. That's how they speak in doctor offices when patients aren't around. 이렇게 자다가는 목 디스크가 생기겠어요. So if you keep sleeping like this, all weird, you're going to get neck problems. Does anyone know what the actual terminology for that is? Is that correct? I was trying to Google what the English translation is for 목 disc. Like I said, it's just what they refer to, or you can get 허리 disc, like your hip being like messed up too. So your neck being messed up, your hip being messed up. But I didn't know the English science word, and I think it's cervical herniated disc, but like I said, I'm not sure if that's correct. Anyway, yes, that's a thing. 이렇게 자다가는 목 디스크가 생기겠어요. So if you keep sleeping like this, all weird, 이렇게, like this, you're going to get neck problems. I think, let me see if I can have you guys finish the next sentence. I'm not sure if it's one that I can do that. Okay, I want you guys to finish this one. Now, there are a lot of things you can put here. I just want you guys to get practice. Oops, I wrote that really bad. I just want you guys to get some practice making your own sentence, kind of. Okay. Oh, I got another donation. Bonnie. A Bonnie. Not sure which way I should pronounce it. Bonnie, normal, or a Bonnie. Wow, 20. I gotta do dab party for that. While I'm doing a dab party, try to finish this sentence. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는. So here we have a descriptive verb. 바쁘다. 바쁘다 is not an action, it's a descriptive verb. It's a state. So if you keep being busy like this, okay, let's do a disco dab party for Bonnie. I need to get better at dabbing. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's check what you wrote. 안녕하세요, 빌리 선생님. 저는 한국어로 공부해서 한국어로 책을 읽기 연습해보고 한국어로 아는 영화 시리즈를 오, cool. 책에서 한국어 말한 글쓰기. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Awesome. I don't get very many messages written to me in Korean, so that's great. That's awesome. And that is very good for 9 months, I would say. Said she's been studying Korean for 9 months. Very, very readable sentences. That's very good. Okay. Cervical disc is a disc in your neck. Okay, well then that seems about correct. Cervical herniated disc. So now you can tell your friends to be careful about how they sleep because they could get a cervical herniated disc. And they're going to be like, what'd you say about me? So yeah. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는, how would you finish this sentence? There's a lot of ways you can finish it. I just want to see what would you put at the end of the sentence. See what you got. Bomi's got an attempt here. 이렇게 계속 Oh, you wrote 바쁘다는. You just have a typo there. 바쁘다가는 장사가 잘 될 건데 너의 건강이 나빠질 거다. Your health is going to get bad. Your health could get very bad. 지쳐서 쓰러질 거예요. Okay? You're gonna get tired, exhausted, and faint. 스트레스 되게 많이 받겠어요. Okay, you're gonna get so much stress. 피곤해요. That wouldn't work, Squiggly. You could not say that. Because 피곤해요 is you are tired. So if you were to keep being this busy, well then you are tired. It doesn't fit logically. So 바쁘다가는, you could say you will become tired. 피곤해질 거예요 could work. Although it'd be very simple, but that would work. 장사가 잘 되겠지만 너의 건강은 나빠질 거다. Okay, that's a little bit, yeah. If you change it with the sorry, 건강은, that's a little bit better. Like your health will be bad. 아야카타, typo, 아야카타. 비쁘다. I'm just teasing you. 바쁘다. 잘 쉴 수 없을 것입니다. You'll rest much. My friend sleeps on his stomach and I worry about his neck. You should buy him like a stomach sleeper pillow. They have those. 계속 바쁘다가는 친구를 볼 수 없을 거예요. You won't be able to see your friends. 미쳐버리고 말 거예요. You're going to end up going crazy? Okay. Normally, though, you can just say 미치겠다, 미치겠어요, like that. 미칠 것 같아요. You don't need to add it with the 말다 form at the end. But it's okay. It's not wrong. 친구를 못 만날 거예요. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는 나 못 잘 것 같아. Nope, you wouldn't be able to do that. You don't need to add na in there either. You could have 나는 like that at the beginning. You wouldn't want to just add it by itself because it's now like seems like it's introducing a different subject. You want to just put it at the beginning. 나는 like that. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는 or 바쁘다가는 나는 or something like that. But not 나 by itself seems a bit vague. It could be like you're saying 내가, but someone else, you're talking about someone else. Anyway, just that's one thing is that if you drop markers, you have to be careful that when you drop the marker, it's still going to sound like the same sentence you're trying to make. Because dropping markers can make your sentence sound vague really quickly. Unless it couldn't be made vague, then it's okay. But there are a lot of times when dropping the marker actually makes it possible for your sentence to be vague. And then even if your sentence still makes sense, it sounds less natural because it's possible it could be vague. Just that possibility of possibly having a different meaning. The possibility of possibly. The possibility that it could mean something different is alone, that's enough to make the sentence sound less natural. Okay, nice. I see lots of what's the word? Creative sentences. So let me give you my sentence. Well, actually, it's not just mine because it's 남자친구. I don't have a boyfriend. I have a wife. Yeah, let's do that. So, okay, 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는. So if I keep being busy like this, something like that. If I keep being so busy, 이렇게 like this, well then I'm going to even forget my boyfriend's face. 남자친구 얼굴, boyfriend's face. 남자친구 얼굴도 잊어버리겠어요. So I'm gonna forget even my boyfriend's face. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는 남자친구 얼굴도 잊어버리겠어요. So if I keep being busy like this, I'm going to even forget my boyfriend's face. So I'm going to even forget what my boyfriend looks like if I keep being this busy. 이렇게 계속 바쁘다가는 남자친구 얼굴도 잊어버리겠어요. So I'm going to keep... Let me just read my translation. Trying to translate it while I'm speaking in my head is just hard. I keep saying it a little differently each time. If you keep sorry, that's the next one. If I keep being so busy, I'm going to even forget my boyfriend's face. I wrote your boyfriend's face. That was a funny typo in here. I wrote your boyfriend's face. If I'm so busy, I'm even going to forget your boyfriend's face. That was a Freudian slip. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, you say that to your friend. Oh, if I keep being this busy, I'm going to even forget your boyfriend's face. Oh, okay. Yeah, gotta be careful. You don't want to let that stuff slip out. I should probably do a spelling check before I click print on my outline, but it's okay. That's why I always upload these outlines after the live stream is finished. That way I have time to rearrange things, like when I put stuff in the wrong spot for teaching or write the wrong word in there for translating. Okay. 우물쭈물. I'm just going to write this on the next line, but it's the same thing. 우물쭈물하다 is one word. 하다가는, I'm just writing it on 2 lines because there's no space. 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. Okay. Let's do a sentence with 지도 몰라요. Because I said that it's also used with this form, which means might. You might. Literally, you don't even know if something would happen. But by that, it means it could happen. So, like, it might happen in that sort of sense. Like, even if it happened, you wouldn't know. So it might even happen. 우물쭈물. 우물쭈물하다. I like the way the word sounds. It's just hesitating. Like waiting to do something too long. Like you're, I don't know. What should I do? Should I not do it? Should I do it? I'm just hesitating. So this means hesitating. 우물쭈물하다가는. So if you keep hesitating, if you don't take the shot, just do it. If you don't, 다, everything, all, 놓치다. 놓치다 means to miss out. Like to miss the bus, to miss an opportunity. 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. You might end up missing out on everything. If you're hesitating, if you keep hesitating. 우물쭈물 하다가는 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. So if you keep hesitating, you might even end up missing out on everything. That sort of meaning. If you keep hesitating, you might end up missing out on everything. 우물쭈물 하다가는 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. 우물쭈물 하다가는 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. Okay, I guess that's good. 우물쭈물. I kind of like that word. 우물쭈물 하다가는 다 놓치게 될지도 몰라요. 우물쭈물. Okay. Let's get our friend I want you guys to finish this sentence. Let's bring our friend Charsu. Now, Charsu sometimes gets a bad rap. You know, but today he's not doing anything to fix that. Charsu's going to be doing something bad today. What is he going to be doing? What does 덜 익은 mean? What is 덜 익은 삼겹살? Tell me what that means. See if anyone knows it. Charsu is not doing something good today. Charsu, okay. Yeah, Charsu's doing something a little weird today. Not under ripe. It could be ripe if it's a fruit. But in this case, it's 삼겹살, pork belly. 덜, literally less. 익다. 익다 is to be ripe. Or it could be cooked in the sense like it's ready to eat, ripe. You can think of it like that. So less ripe or less cooked, we would say undercooked. What is Charsu doing? Eating raw pork belly. 찰수 씨처럼 덜 익은 삼겹살만 먹다가는, how would you finish this sentence? So if you keep just eating undercooked pork belly like Charsu, what's gonna happen? What do you guys think's gonna happen? Poor Charsu. Charsu is he's like the best person in the world and the worst person at the same time. He likes raw meat. I guess he does. I actually had a friend. I won't say his name, but I had a friend when I was a kid who would cook bacon in the microwave, which is fine, for 1 minute. Yeah, don't do that. It was like, it was still completely pink. Yeah. No, that's not how you eat bacon. I'm surprised he never got sick, but yeah, don't be like Charsu. 죽을 거야. Okay. What? 배가 아플 거예요. Okay, I'm just reading some of your sentences. 배가 아플 거예요. Yeah, your stomach could hurt. 뱃속에 기생충이 생길 거예요. Yes, you will get a parasite in your stomach. You probably will. Although you don't need to say you will. It might be better to say you might, or you would, or you could. Just for how to make your sentence more natural with this. It's going to sound more natural if you add in the meaning of might or could. Like you think you will, or something like that. Will be more natural than you will, unless it's something that's a given. Like if it's something really obvious, like, hey, if you keep doing this, this is gonna happen. Then do future tense. If it's not a positive, if it's not 100%, like this isn't 100% that you're gonna get sick by eating undercooked pork, right? You could eat undercooked pork and be totally fine, but you might have problems, right? So this is just a tip for sounding more like a native, is you don't need to use the will, like you will if this happens. Just like in English, you wouldn't say, oh, if you keep eating caramel every day, your teeth are going to get rotten. That's okay. But if it's not something certain, if it's not like a given, then it's better to say you might, or I think, like that. So I think you might get sick. 배탈이 날 거야. Okay, you're gonna get your stomach ache. Yes, salmonella 균. Yes, salmonella. Our good friend salmonella. Okay, first name Sal, last name Manila. So here we're gonna get 병. 병 is disease. 병이 생기다, literally to a disease occurs, or a disease happens in that sort of sense. 생길, let's do 지도 몰라요. So you might, literally, if you would get a disease, you wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. You might get a disease. 철수 씨처럼 덜 익은 삼겹살만 먹다가는, so if you keep eating 덜 익은, less ripe or less cooked 삼겹살, pork belly, well then 병이 생길지도 몰라요. You might get a disease if you keep eating just a bunch of uncooked or undercooked pork belly, like Charsu. Like Charsu. Charsu keeps eating undercooked pork belly. If you keep eating pork belly like him, like he does, well then you might get sick. 철수 씨처럼 덜 익은 삼겹살만 먹다가는 병이 생길지도 몰라요. Oops. Hold on. Gotta put the 20 kronas back. Okay. Now it looks like it says cool, but that's good. Okay. Next sentence. 이런 날씨에, so in this kind of weather, 밖에서 놀다가는, how would you finish this sentence? 이런 날씨, this kind of weather, 밖에서, outside, 놀다가는, if you keep playing outside in this kind of weather, remember you're warning them, something might happen, or something will happen, if you know. How would you finish this sentence? Someone asked Bubbly, 병이 생길 것 같아. Yeah, that's fine too. I think you're going to get sick. That's fine. Like I just said, to make it more natural sounding, you don't want to say will unless it actually is something that would be assumed that it will happen. Like 100%. Oh yeah, if you keep doing that, of course. Like that. Like a real warning. Like, hey, if you keep, eating raw beef every single day for every single meal, you're going to get sick. Like, yeah, that's a given. But if you're saying like, hey, if you're eating a bunch of uncooked pork, I think it sounds a little better to say, I think you might, or, you might, something like that. Not saying you will unless you know it's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. Is this something where it's going to happen? Or I think it might happen. In which case you want to use that. That'll make your sentence sound more natural in Korean. So 이런 날씨에 밖에서 놀다가는, so if you keep playing outside in this kind of weather, you can assume this is a warning. So it's going to be bad weather. We're assuming that. Maybe it's raining weather, or maybe there's volcano weather. Is there an icon for a volcano in like Google weather when you click the app to see what the weather is today? Because they have like one for rain clouds, for sunny. They have one like for hail and snow. Is there like a volcano? I wonder if the people in Pompeii would open up their apps. Is this too soon? Is it too soon to make this joke? And there'd be like a volcano on there. So, I don't know. This is the stuff that I think about when I'm waiting for you guys to write your sentences. Let's see what you guys got. 얼어 죽을지도 몰라요. Okay, yeah, you might freeze to death. Yeah, that's really good. 감기, You don't want to do 감기를 걸리다. It's actually 감기에 걸리다. Although you might hear some people misuse it as 감기를 with object marker. It's supposed to be 감기에 or nothing. Sometimes people don't use anything, but 감기 with the object marker would actually be incorrect. It's a common mistake that Korean people make themselves. Sometimes. 이런 날씨에는 밖에서, okay, typo for ayakata for outside. 밖 has two of those letters. 피부가 어두워질 수 있잖아. Your skin can get dark. I think you mean like 타다, burn, like you're going to get a sunburn. In which case they say 타다, like burn, like a sunburn. Just reading a few of your sentences. 당신, you wouldn't use 당신. 당신 is not used in Korean. It's used in a few situations, but it's not used in regular conversation. It would be only used in advertising when there's no one that it's targeted. It would be used in married couples who are older occasionally to say like darling or dear. It is used in example translated sentences in textbooks. And it is used if you want to say you to a stranger when you want to start a fight. It is not used in any other situations. So I wish that some of the some grammar lessons would stop using it, and it's not the ones that I recommend. Talk to Me in Korean doesn't use it. Of course they know, but it might be like some small blogs might have lessons that will teach 당신, or maybe like random Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts. You have to be careful about that because 당신 is a word that gets taught incorrectly a lot in some of those smaller websites by people who don't know how to teach Korean. There's a few other words, 그 and 그녀, that also I see get taught. I wish these would stop getting taught. This is another one. You'll see this all the time. It's not wrong. They're not used though. These are only used for translating literal sentences to and from for English into Korean. In real Korean though, if you use these words, they can be rude. In fact, Koreans don't use these words in regular conversation. And the same goes for 당신. It's not a good word for you. But I do not control how smaller blogs operate. And I'm not going to name any specifically. I'll just say, if it teaches you that word, it should be clear that it's only using it for an example translation. Because it's useful when you need a literal translation of something. But it should also, if it's teaching you Korean, it should also clarify like, hey, by the way, we're using it here for translating purposes only, but it wouldn't actually be used in speech. Actually, Talk to Me in Korean has a really good video about that also, as well as I have a video about it. Their video, I think, is all about why you shouldn't use 당신 and then the different ways that it can be used in Korean. Oh yeah, take care, Maria. Have a good night. Isn't that a swear word? Is what a swear word? 당신? No. 당신 is not a swear word. Okay. 이런 날씨에. So in this kind of weather, so if you keep playing outside in this kind of weather, what's going to happen? I like Small's example, and that's actually really close to what I have. Oops. I think next we have a past tense example for you guys after this. The next one is the past tense example. Yes. Okay. 이런 날씨에. So in this kind of weather, 밖에서, outside, 놀다가는. So if you keep playing outside in this kind of weather, it's assuming that it's bad weather. You can assume it's not good weather. 감기에 걸리다 is to catch a cold. Literally, in English too, we say catch a cold. Well, in Korean, it is to be caught by the cold. So yeah, 걸리다 is to be caught. 감기에, by a cold. Literally, to be caught by a cold. So you're going to catch a cold in that sort of like reverse sentence. Like reverse, it's passive. Anyway, 감기에 걸릴지도 몰라요. So you might catch a cold. If you keep playing outside in this kind of bad weather, probably really cold, or, really rainy, I guess. 감기에 걸릴지도 몰라요. You might catch a cold if you keep playing outside in this kind of weather. 이런 날씨에 밖에서 놀다가는 감기에 걸릴지도 몰라요. Okay, the next sentence we have is special. Okay, let's do one with our past tense, which I said is less common, but you'll still see it. 바다, ocean. So 바다에서 수영, so swimming at the ocean. But we're not going to do 수영을 하다가는. We're not saying that they are swimming at the ocean. They're not. Let's say if you were to swim at the ocean. 했다가는. Let's just say you had gone swimming at the ocean right now. Let's just say you were to swim. In that sort of sense. You haven't. If you were to go swimming. 지금 바다에서 지금, so now, 바다에서, in the ocean, 수영을 했다가는, so if, let's just say you did go swimming now in the ocean, but you haven't. But if you did, so it's hypothetical, this 다가는 with the past tense, makes it more of like just a hypothetical if. So not if you keep doing it, but if you were to do it. 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. 얼어버리다. 얼다 is to freeze. 얼어버리다, to completely freeze over. So your body's going to freeze. 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. You're going to freeze, like your body's going to freeze if you go swimming in the ocean right now. So if you were to go swimming in the ocean right now, you would just freeze. 지금 바다에서 수영을 했다가는 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. Okay, so this gets an example of this. But like I said, you don't need to use this form, and it's not that commonly used. It might just be more common to say something like 바다에서 수영을 하면, or maybe the stronger hypothetical if. 수영을 한다면, like let's just say if you go swimming in the ocean, 지금 바다에서 수영을 한다면 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. Would be more natural than 했다가는, but this is also a form you might see from time to time. And this, like I said, still, even if you want to compare this with 면, this one is still used only for a warning, whereas the 면 form doesn't have to be. The 면 form, you could use it for like, if you do something really good, well then it's going to be healthy, right? But this wouldn't be used for something like that. So that's the only difference. But if you don't have to use it as a warning, if you don't need to be using it as a warning, just use the 면 form instead. It'll sound more natural most of the time. 지금 바다에서 수영을 했다가는 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. 몸이 얼어버릴 거예요. Good. Okay, we got one more sentence. 휴지를 그렇게. What is 휴지? 휴지 is tissue paper, but it's also used just for toilet paper. The reason is this originally means toilet paper, but people put toilet paper on the table when you're at a restaurant in Korea. If you go to Korea, you'll see that. Cheaper restaurants use toilet paper as the tissue paper that you can wipe your mouth with, especially like if you're eating spicy food and you want to wipe your mouth or wipe your forehead. You use toilet paper. It'll be sitting right there on the table with you. Now, you don't carry the roll and go to the bathroom. It's different. It's just the paper, but it's a toilet roll. So that's just something you'll see when you go to Korea at cheaper restaurants. Nicer restaurants will usually have like you can pull the Kleenex, like not Kleenex, but like really cheap napkins from the wall that are just really thin, kind of similar to like Kleenex or something, but you'll get them on the wall. And the cheaper restaurants will just give you the roll of toilet paper straight on your table. Okay. 그렇게 쓰다가는. So if you keep using toilet paper like that, as in, like just using it like tons and tons and tons, like you just keep, like you pull a whole roll to go to the bathroom once. So if you keep using toilet paper that much, 금방, right away, 금방 is right away, like soon, 다, all of it, 떨어지다. 떨어지다 literally means to fall. Like you can say, 물병이 떨어졌어요. The water bottle fell down. The statue fell down. Whatever. Something fell down. But it's also used to say something ran out. As in out of stock. You would say it fell. So if you go to the store and you're like, hey, do you have any of this? And the manager's, 저거 다 떨어졌어요. Like, 다 떨어졌거든요. We're all out of stock. Or it's all out. Literally, it all fell in that sort of sense. 휴지를 그렇게 쓰다가는. So if you keep using toilet paper like that, as in, this is suggesting that they're using tons and tons of toilet paper whenever they go to the bathroom. 휴지를 그렇게 쓰다가는 금방, right away. 다, all, 떨어질 거예요. We're going to run out of it right away if you keep using toilet paper that fast. 휴지를 그렇게 쓰다가는 금방 다 떨어질 거예요. So if you keep using toilet paper like that, we're going to run out right away. You're going to run out in like no time. If you keep using toilet paper like that, we're going to run out right away. 휴지를 그렇게 쓰다가는 금방 다 떨어질 거예요. So if you keep using toilet paper like that, we're going to run out right away. So don't use so much. Okay, that was our last sentence. So hopefully you can see that this 다가는 form isn't that difficult to use. And as long as you keep in mind that no matter how it's being used, no matter what tense, no matter what verbs, no matter what adjectives, anything, it always has the meaning of kind of like warning someone. If you just keep that in mind, I think you're going to be using it correctly. So you're warning someone like, hey, if you keep doing this, careful because, and then you say whatever you want to say. Okay, so that was our lesson for today. Thank you all. But I can't talk. Thank you all for coming. And I will now take questions for about 10, 15 minutes. So if you have any Korean questions, now is the time to ask. And that was the last sentence used for our lesson. Oh yeah, quick announcement. So there is a worksheet on Patreon, and this outline will go on Patreon with all of the sentences, all the explanations within within half an hour of the stream ending. So if you want to get these sentences, you didn't write them down, or all these notes, you can also get that from Patreon, print it out, and collect those forever. There's also merchandise. If you want another way you can support me, I have pinned one piece of merchandise to my chat right now. It's actually a shirt that my wife designed. I thought was pretty cool. And so it's there. You can check it out. And there is a Discord chat. You can check it out. It is active 24/7. I'm in there. Lots of learners are in there. And it's completely free. So check that out as well. I also have one-to-one tutoring. If you're interested in that, check out check out Discord. You can find a link to that. And if you are a member of this channel, which about 70 of you are on my channel, you also get to watch this abridged version tonight. So I'll edit that as soon as this is finished, and you can watch that tonight. You don't have to wait a few more days like everyone else when it'll be uploaded publicly on the channel. So yes, that is all the announcements for today. Thank you so much for coming. Now I will take questions for about 10 minutes or so. Congrats everyone for making it through an advanced lesson. Oh, that's a good point. And Samnida, if you are here and you are not an advanced learner, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you felt like you understood the lesson today. This topic itself is, as you see, beginner, trivial to conjugate. You can see that. This is the easiest to conjugate advanced form that we've maybe ever had. You just stick it on the verb stem and you're done. What makes it advanced, however, is using it in a natural sentence, because you would have to be able to make a full natural sentence already. You'd have to already be able to speak Korean in order to understand why you would want to give someone a warning like this. And you would also already have to know the myeon form and the tamyeon form, as well as taga already before you would use these. And the tamyeon form would be more intermediate. So yeah, that's why it's technically advanced, I would say, but not advanced in that anyone can use it. You just won't be able to make very natural sentences unless you're a higher level. Okay. Contigo paid me nothing. They didn't even give me this thing. I bought it. But this is a great thermos. It is still hot. I made this tea 3 hours ago and it is still hot. That's just impressive. I'm using my wife's YouTube account. Says Peach. It's like, I believe you. Wait, someone said something. 빌리 씨 수업 들은 지 오래됐는데 언제나 멋져요. 재밌고. Thank you. 와주셔서 감사합니다. Ellie's Korean language. Do I subscribe to you? Let me see. I don't know if I subscribe to you. Let's see. No. Now I do. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a subscription on you, but now I do. I've seen your name before though. I try to subscribe to everyone who teaches Korean. So if you have a YouTube channel that teaches Korean, I probably subscribe to you. My mother eats raw bacon. Gross. Well, nowadays, what I heard is because of the processing that they do for bacon, like they make sure they only use, higher quality pork. They cure it better than they used to in the past. That eating uncooked bacon is much safer today than it was in the past. And that there is a much lower chance that you're going to get sick than if you were doing that, 30, 40 years ago or something. That's what I've heard. But it's still not good to do. It's not like eating sushi, because sushi is raw fish, but sushi is actually not as raw as you think it is, most of it. You might think sushi, oh, they just take the fish live and cut it and give you the pieces. No, most sushi is not like that. Most sushi is actually flash frozen before you get it. So you might be wondering, how is this sushi restaurant in the middle of the United States getting fresh sushi every day? It's gonna be old by the time they get it. No. Even the restaurants that are right on the ocean aren't serving you raw fish completely. What it is when they catch the fish, they cut it and they freeze it. They flash freeze it really quick. And that kills any of the bacteria or any parasites in it. And then when they let it defrost, now that starts the clock on being fresh. So as long as you get that out quickly, it's still gonna taste perfectly fine. All the sushi you get at restaurants is going to be like that. It's actually safe to eat. It's not the same as raw bacon. They're not flash freezing bacon to make sushi. I mean, maybe you can try. That could be interesting. You flash freeze pork and then take it out of the freezer and make pork sushi. Be my guest. But that's not what they do. Anyway, and same goes with chicken. You can eat raw chicken, believe it or not. Yes, just like you can eat raw steak. But there is the risk of not being, what do you call it? Not being very safe if it's not good chicken, if it's not like raised very well and meats kept all nice and clean. If it is though, then yeah, it's actually okay. And there is actually chicken sushi I've seen before. So yeah, there's lots of interesting foods. I've never tried it, not really interested in trying it, but it is safe to eat from what I've heard. Just as safe as sushi anyway. Maybe they do flash freeze chicken for making chicken sushi. I don't know. It just sounds gross. Sounds gross to me. But I don't know. Maybe I've never tried it. Maybe it's good. If we ever meet up, maybe we should go eat chicken sushi and pork sushi. Okay. Korean science and cooking lesson. Yes. Well, I don't think I've said this on my voice. What are we saying? I don't think I've said this before in my live chats, but I really like cooking. Cooking is one of my favorite hobbies to do. And I've been cooking since I was a teenager, like on a regular basis. And some stuff I cook very well. I can confidently say I cook some stuff very well and other stuff not so well. But the stuff I cook well is very good. So I really like cooking, and I try to cook as much as I can, but that usually only comes out to like once every other day where I'll actually cook something. Another channel for cooking. No, I'm not going to try teaching cooking. That's different. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can teach it. Those are two different things. And sometimes people who are really good at doing are bad at teaching. Some people who are really good at teaching are bad at doing them. Usually not as much, but yeah, they're not the same thing. What exactly is in that tea you're drinking today? This tea is the same tea that I've been drinking for the past several months. It is a white peach tea. Yes, white peach tea. There's like very little caffeine in it, if any. I don't know. The guy told me when I bought it that it has little caffeine, but I actually can't really taste any of the caffeine. I mean, I can't feel much of the caffeine, so I don't know. Hey Billy, mulgogi is a fish that is generally still alive and swimming around, and 생선 is a fish that's ready to eat. This is confusing because gogi means meat, right? How do you explain this? Evolving Brain, it's kind of interesting. Mulgogi literally does mean water meat, and originally I heard it was the other way around, and it got switched. I don't remember the reason it got switched. I think I'd heard the reason once before why it got switched. My guess is that 생선 started getting used more for the actual animal. Sorry, the dish, 생선, whereas 생선 could be just the fish in general. So I'm not sure exactly the reason why it switched. At least I can't remember it. But originally it was the other way. Originally 물고기 was the meat because it's 고기. 물, literally 물의 possessive marker 고기. So water meat, just like the other. What would it be? Like 돼지고기, like, you know, pig meat, 소고기, cow meat, like that. So it was the same thing originally. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? Nope. 데려다 줄게. That's Ellie, or L, I guess L. 데려다 주다. I'm going to write down here because I don't have space. 데려다 주다. Is taking someone somewhere. I'll take you there. Like bringing someone. 데리다, to bring. 주다. The 다 here is to 갖다 주다. Yeah. To go there for them. Complete going there for them and doing it for them. Like, I'm going to take you there as a favor. 데려다 줄게. There's another one. Oh yeah, well, here it is. There are a few of these. I'm trying to think if there's any others. 가져다 주다. Yeah, 가져다 주다 would be another one. Same as 테리다, but with an object. The difference is that this one is bringing it back to me, like doing it and giving it to me. So 사다 주다. I'm trying to think of the literal translation for this. Yeah, after it's done, give it to me. So it's not the same as 사주다, which is buying something in my stead, buying something for me as a favor. This one is buying it, 사다, you buy it, finish buying it, and then give it to me. So this one is not just take someone there as a favor, take someone there for me, take someone there in my stead, like, hey, I have to drive my kid to school, but I can't today. Can you 데려가주세요? Please take him there for me. This is different. This is to take someone somewhere and then give me that. Give me the action of you doing that. This is more like, hey, take me there. Like, do me a favor and take me somewhere. I'm going to try to think of a better way to explain, though, this ending here used in this form, because I don't think that's a very good explanation for it. This one, though, is completely different. Easy to see how it's completely different from 사주다. This one, it might even have a separate neighbor entry, although that's not usually good for what I like. I like being able to break something down further than that. It might even have one neighbor entry. Yeah, it does. Why does it have to walk home? It's not what it is. It doesn't mean to walk home. Neighbor just has a separate entry for it, so you don't have to learn it as pieces, fortunately. But yeah, it's just to take someone directly, take them somewhere. Like, you're not just like you're not just going to bring them along somewhere. You're directly making sure that they are going to the location, and then you get there, and that's a favor for them in that sort of sense. Literally, I guess that's how you can look at it. More naturally, just think of this as giving someone a ride. Giving someone a ride, or seeing someone off, even if it's going somewhere. 데려다 줘. Like, drop me off there, take me there, give me a ride there, that sort of thing. 사다 주다, 사다 줘. Buy something for me. Buy it for me. Go get it and bring it to me. That sort of thing. But yeah, I would say... I'm not able to give a clear explanation, though, of the literal meaning. I would say just learn, for the time being, unless I can think of something better, I'll try. Just learn it as a separate word, because it is a separate word in neighbor. 닭초밥. Yeah, 닭초밥. I'm in a Korean course, but I think they're too slow teaching. I want to find more information, more online. I have 2 lessons every week. Does anyone know what else I should do? Oh, I see you're asking the chat. Okay. 받다 versus 받아들이다. Yeah, those are different. 받다 is just to get something. Probably this is the last day I'm using this pen. Yeah. Okay, this will be the last thing I use. Yeah, 받다 is just to get or receive. It's also used in passive voice a lot. As in, like, 사랑하다 is to love. 사랑을 받다 is literally to get love. Or what you would say is to be loved. So it's used passive. Get, just anything that comes to you that you receive is 받다. 받아들이다 is, you might think it's the same, to receive something. It's to accept something in. 받아들이다 is not just that something comes to you, but that you willingly take something in. So you can think of it as meaning take, not as in get. Like, you wouldn't, like, oh, I got some money from my friend. 받다. I got I can take a joke. I accepted something, in that sort of sense. So different uses, even though they have the same origin from something coming to you, getting something, different usages as well. 들이다, it's like you're accepting something in, like, okay, like that, versus just something coming to you. Like, you can say 전화를 받다, like, I got the phone, blah, 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 at the end. You wouldn't say 전화를 받아들이다. That's like, I accepted the phone. I accepted it. I took the phone into myself. Like, doesn't make any sense. But I wouldn't learn it like so much like this. I would just learn the usage of this. 받아들이다 is used with, the most common thing I can think of it is with some sort of information, like accepting a piece of information, like, oh, I accepted it. Yeah, it's okay. Or I can take a joke. Like, hey, can't you take a joke? Yeah, I can take the joke. Like that sort of meaning. I'm going to get rid of this blue pen. One more question and then I'm going to take off for today. But first, let me throw away this pen. Okay, new pen. Someone asked something. Evolving brain. You mentioned 많은 사람들이 한국어를 공부하다니 계속 보고 있어. Yeah. Nice, nice. Good form, good form. I also taught Tani like a few months ago. It's a good form. You mentioned that kunyo. So this is from Evolving Brain. This is our last question for today. Evolving Brain said you mentioned that kunyo, ooh, new pen, is not generally used in conversation. That's correct. Yeah, is not. What is then? This is actually a very big topic. But there's an easy answer. You would say any word you use for you. And I've done a live stream all about how to say you. I did an abridged version of it. I made a video in my Learn Korean series about it. I've made a video in my new beginner course about it. I've made another video about how to say you in Korean. I have at least 5 or 6, maybe more videos about how to say you in Korean. Talk to Me in Korean has lots of videos about different ways to say you in Korean. They're all the same. There is no word you that's used in Korean unless you're talking about a few specific situations when you can use you. There are some words. This is, you would just refer to however you would refer to the other person. That's what you use when you want to say, whether you're meaning you, you're talking to them, or he or she, they're not here, they're over there. It's the same thing. For example, if I'm talking with my friend Charsu, and I say, what do you think, Charsu? Well, the word for you in that situation is Charsu, or Charsu 씨 if you're not that close to them. Charsu는 어때? How about you? 철수는 뭐라고 생각해? What do you think, 철수? What do you think, 철수? Now I want to say, oh, 철수, that he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. 철수가 착한 사람이야. 철수 is a nice person. You don't need to say this. You don't need to say you. In like almost every situation, you don't need to say you. There are some words you can use that mean you, but in those situations, they would be usually like you can think the casual one when you're speaking with someone who's below you, like a close friend or who's really your same age or younger than you, then you'd use no. But only in that situation is this word okay. You're not going to use you in any other situation. How would you say you to your boss? You don't say 당신. You certainly wouldn't say no, or they won't be your boss for very long. You would use 사장님, boss, or 회장님 if they're the president of a company. Sorry, I wrote this weird. 사장님, literally Mr. Boss or Miss Boss, whoever you're talking with. 사장님, 님 makes the title polite. So you take the title and you attach 님, and now you have a polite title for boss. What do you think? 사장님은 어떻게 생각하세요? What do you think? 사장님께서는 뭐라고 생각하세요? What do you think? Boss, you don't need the word you. So it's the same thing for he or she. Now your boss is over across the room. Like, oh, I don't like him. 사장님을 안 좋아해. 사장님을 안 좋아해요. I don't like the boss. You're not saying him, her. You're not saying that. You just say the same thing you would if you were saying you. So if you can say you in Korean, you can say he or she. You would not ever want to say 그는. That's rude. It makes sense, but they'll think you're being rude. There is another word you can use, 그분. But this is only when you don't have a clue who the person is. Literally, 그, that, 분, person, honorific word for person. This word is polite, 그분, that person over there who I don't know. I don't know their title. I don't know their name. I don't know what I should call them, but I want to be respectful to them. 그분, he or she. Yeah. Other than that, you don't use he or she in Korean because as soon as you know what you should call a person, you call them by their name. So if you're in school and you're with your friends and you're like, oh yeah, he's a nice guy, you know their name. They're in your class. You're not going to say kubun. That's like that personage over there. I don't know how to refer to them. They are. You don't need to say that. I mean, there are other ways you can also say it. You can also say 그 사람 if you want to be kind of less polite. Like maybe you're, classmates and you want to say 그 사람은, like I don't know them. I don't know their name or anything or their title. You still don't need to do that though most of the time. And I find this sort of word is useful for writing example sentences because, there's no context. So you just want to say he or she. But it's not used that much unless you really don't know who the person is. So yeah, just say the word you would say for you. And that would be usually the person's name and a title, or just their title with 님. That's how you're going to do it. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, that is our lesson today. Thank you everyone for coming. And let's check here real quick if I missed anything. 받침은 받침과 소리가 똑같아요. 그래서 okay. I see you're answering someone's question. 그 and 그녀 only in lyrics. Lyrics? Maybe songs could use it in their title because it might rhyme better, or they just might want a poetic feeling, but not in speech. Broadcasting newspaper, not even in that. No, they wouldn't be used in broadcasting your newspaper. They would use a person's name or even a fake name in that case. Okay, anyway, thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you. Oh wait, next week we have a live stream about, let's see. Next week's live stream, I think, is also the last form of taga는, or taga, sorry. Next week's live stream is taga. So we've had 3 tagas. Oh, thanks, Evolving Brain. Thank you for the people who donated, who helped support my channel today. Maria with her Swedish kronas. Small Bonnie with our biggest donation today of $20, as well as Evolving Brain. Thank you, all of you. And next week's is going to be also about taga, which is a different taga. So this will be 3 taga. We did taga, we did taga는, and now we're going to do hey taga. So this is another taga. It's not that common, but you'll hear it sometimes. Thanks, and I will see you again next week. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.